I'm Barbara Gaines, and I'm all over this channel.
Dress cool, like your life depended on it. Dress cool, dress for success. Look like you really want it. Dress up.
I worked for Dave between 1980 and 2015. I started when I was 23, and I ended when I was 58, so I basically grew up on the show. On Late Night in the 1980s and 90s, I sat backstage with Jude Brennan and then Barbara Sheehan. We sat right behind Dave. Somehow, I started to scream from backstage. Dave would ask me something and I would scream, or I would just suddenly scream.
Barbara? Yeah. What? Tie or no tie? All right, there's Barbara. On the good side of my day, no one on the staff came dressed as anything today, so, Barbara, did you dress as anything today? Okay. But I want to thank all the members of our fine technical crew and staff who were able to go. Some, unfortunately, weren't able to go. Barbara, did you get to go? No, Barbara didn't. This comes to us from Middlebury, Vermont, where Barbara Gaines has a cousin living, I understand. That's the lovable Barbara Gaines back there, ladies.
It became such a thing that a bunch of them went on viewer mail.
Why don't you let young Barbara host the show one night? She really has a nice voice, and I've been wondering what it would be like with her as the show's host. Barbara actually did host this show one night, and let's take a look at some of that videotape. Is it all right with you, Barbara? Yeah, sure. We can show the tape? Okay, let's look at the night Barbara hosted the show. I think you'll find it interesting.
It was in the spring of 1972 that I first learned of Bridges' intent to write and direct a film about the Harvard Law School. Precisely, Barbara, precisely. At that time, I also learned that several actors were being auditioned and tested for the part of Professor Kingsfield. One of them was Edward G. Robinson.
She has such a sweet, lilting voice, I could listen to her dulcet tones for hours. Did you hear that, Barbara? What? Now you can listen to her dulcet tones for hours because just in time for the holidays comes this, Barbara.
What? It's not my fault. I am not asleep. I turned it over and the top fell off. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with my voice. I'm from Long Island. Shut up and do the show.
Okay, we will.
A lot of times I would bring stuff out. It was mostly stuff I forgot to bring out in the first place. I still was shy and didn't really want to be seen on camera, so I would run out and run back, and Dave would make some kind of comment about me.
It's our friend Barbara Gaines, who's now working part-time for Captain Frank Mundus. Did you know that, Paul?
I know that.
Got a gig out in Montauk working for Frank Mundus. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Barbara Gaines, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely, the talented Barbara Gaines, queen of the subterranean mole people.
The talent department booked the Guinness Book of World Records typing person, Barbara Blackburn. And they decided they wanted me, because I was the fastest typist in the office, that I should go up against her. I took it very seriously. The woman, I think, thought, oh, I'm going to go up against their fastest typist. She was nervous she'd lose her title, so she didn't put paper in her machine.
Begin typing. 1 minute here.
We did this bit, it was drills. It was when the stage crew would dress as something. We all dressed in orange jumpsuits, tennis whites, we all dressed as elves.
Watch this.
And then I was an elf for a bunch of things. Dave took me to the doctor as an elf. My son's favorite part of that elf remote was me going, ow, my finger.
We think we have a busted finger here. Look at that. It's the index finger, and it's all puffy and swollen.
Yeah.
So be very careful.
Okay. How'd this happen?
Playing football.
And can you remember how the ball hit your finger? Did it push the finger back or hit it right on the end?
I don't know.
Well, this is where the reenactment will come in.
Oh, my finger!
Yeah. Oh, Helly, Butcher, get away from her.
I'm sorry. Is it all right to touch you again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're 36? You know that Doogie Howser's like 11. You ever see that show? Look at that. That's me and Paul. Can you see that?
And I did one of the How's the Weather as an elf. And How's the Weather was basically a time filler we did at the Act 2 when everything else fell through. I would bring out a bunch of phone books, and Dave would riffle through the phone book, and I would point. We'd find a person, and we'd call them and actually just say, how's the weather? It never worked. So one night, we called my parents, and my mother answered.
Here, say hello to her.
Oh, good.
Hi, Mom.
Barbara, baby, how are you?
Did she give you the sweater? Yeah. You know, Sophie, she looks great in the new sweater.
Oh, good. That's Mike's sweater. She got so fat she had to wear her father's sweater.
You know, Sophie, one more remark like that, and we're going to have to disqualify you.
Oh, my God. No, don't.
You had to understand her to understand she wasn't really being mean. But anyway, Sophie kind of took the rose off the bloom or the bloom off the rose or however that goes. But that piece was now done. We were doing film specials. One of the movies was Dress Cool. I made a cameo in that. So to get me cool took a lot of time. I had a wig and I had a, pushed up. I just remember the band saying, oh, look, Gaines has tits.
Dress cool, dress for success. Look like you really want it.
I think the most moving moment, the culmination of late night, would be the last show when Bruce Springsteen jumped up on the organ singing Glory Days. That really was our glory days. It was the last time we'd be young, the last time we would be at 12:30 and have the studio and like kids taking over the set, and we'd never be young again. At Late Show, I was the associate producer, executive producer. When I got the podium, I was 45. I think there was one show where they caught me. Dave always ran across the stage, and they caught me running across the stage because I was late.
I want to say happy birthday to one of our longtime beloved staff members, one of the many executive producers here at The Late Show.
Yes.
Our good friend having a birthday today. I won't tell you how old she is. Well, as a matter of fact, she's featured on the opening of tonight's television program. Take a look. Let's see what she's doing here. Here's the beginning of this. There she goes.
Oh, yes.
And here I come. It's
Well,
like it's a jailbreak.
I noticed that.
Happy birthday to our good friend Barbara Gaines, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
I made the podium my own. My mother always asked me if I'd met any celebrities, and I always said, yes, I met Dave. And she was like, no, Hollywood. But I didn't have that much brush with greatness. Once Don Rickles mentioned me, my father would have loved that so much.
You know what he does? We get in the car. Every time I come I'm talking to the crew like you can help me. They're all standing like this.
Well, they have lives and families. They want to get on with it.
And the broad behind the booth with the earphones going, how much longer with this?
Oh.
How much longer do I have to listen to this?
Sometimes, Dave would ask you something and you have to figure it out because you were the only person there, like, why isn't the pumpkin exploding?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have some more bad news. We have been informed by the fire department of the city of New York that we cannot explode the pumpkin.
Cannot explode.
Personally, I'm sick about this. I'm told it has something to do with the rain. The rain, and that makes it doubly dangerous to explode?
Yes,
Had it been a nice dry day, we could have exploded the pumpkin.
I think so.
But I don't get that. What's the problem with the rain?
Something to do with the electrical charges in the rain and something.
Dave once, he was using a leaf blower and the card was on the floor, and then giant me was on the floor trying to sneak the card back to him.
Oh, no. Get out of here! Get back in the audience! Get back in the audience where you belong! What are you sneaking up here on me like that? What's the matter with you? What are you trying to pull?
I think we had a parrot. I don't remember what it was supposed to do, but I think Dave said, well, you do what it's supposed to do.
You show us what the bird is supposed to do. Come on. No, that's it?
We had this bit, and it was canceled. Dave didn't even know we were going to do it to begin with. So when we came back from commercial, there's a plate of ribs on Dave's desk. So he looks at the ribs and he's thinking, why are there ribs on my desk? So I come running out in front of him to say, those ribs, they're a mistake, just ignore them.
Wait a minute, we got something coming in.
It's nothing.
Why is it here?
It's a mistake.
It's interesting. No, this has been, wait till I show you what's been labeled a mistake. Plate of ribs. It's a mistake.
What are the ribs?
It's a plate of ribs. They look delicious, but they're a mistake.
They're there by mistake?
I mean, I can't even begin to understand the parameters of the circumstance whereby this would result as a mistake.
I can't.
It's here, they look delicious.
Yeah.
But it's a mistake. What? I mean, honest to God, what? Yeah, how can that be a mistake?
You know, I was always trying to talk to Dave from the podium, so I think Dave one night had a little desk put next to his desk.
Who's that on your left, by the way?
Well, it's Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. This is my little girl, Barbara.
She's just doing her homework
This is my little girl, Barbara.
Getting her
she's,
homework done
she's
well.
studying during the show.
Yeah, good.
And then later, Daddy's going to take her to see The Lion King.
One of the many jobs the executive producer is to keep the show on time, keep Dave on time. And when you would come up to the desk and say, you know, we've got 6 minutes left, it's possible he might say to you, time cues are for losers. At one point, I tried a couple of different things. I used a whistle once to try to get him to stop.
Get here. This is what we're talking about.
Wax
That's
figure
it.
of
Yeah.
Tiger Woods.
Now
That's Baby Doll.
Okay, where's the whistle? We have to go because I run long, and so she's got the whistle.
That's what I hear.
That's what it was.
You know, towards the end of my run, things might have gotten a little contentious. I think one night I might have held up a sign I shouldn't have held up.
So I'm screaming, let's go, let's go! And here's what happened. Show them what you did. I'm screaming, let's go. This is the producer. You pull out your little thing there, and this is what I get back. Go ahead, pull it out. Pull out your little thing.
What is it?
It's just right there. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, well, okay. And happy Passover to you as well.
But, you know, we also had our times when we made up.
I didn't really call her incompetent. What I actually said was you exhibited poor judgment. That's what I said.
Oh.
And I felt horrible about that, so now I'm apologizing.
It's nice of you to apologize.
Exhibiting poor judgment.
No, that's good.
No, there'd be no hug. No, no, don't come over.
No hug?
Don't come over.
Oh, come on. Give her a hug. Give her a hug. Give her a hug. Give her a hug. Give her a hug.
The most moving and memorable parts of Late Show, or maybe my entire career, was really two things. In 2002, I got to accept the Emmy Award for the show, which was an unbelievable thing that C-plus shy, fat me got to stand up at the Emmy Awards and accept that Emmy. It was hard to believe that ever happened. And then the next day on the show, Dave showed it again and talked about it. That was kind of amazing, still amazing.
Barbara Gaines, who is our executive producer, and before she goes out there, I said, you know, if we're lucky enough to win, Barbara, I would like you to, you know, receive and say thank you. And so we're all kind of excited, and it would be fun because, you know, Barbara's been with us a long time, and she's a lovely woman. But when I first met her years and years ago, and I've said this to her before, and no offense, but this is a pretty accurate description of what she was when I first met her years and years. She was a box of parts. Gaines, everybody.
And the other thing was working on the last show montage. A couple of years before Dave retired, he said, one day I'm going to retire. And when that time comes, we're going to need a end of the show montage. We should hire someone, you know, like the guy who always does the Oscars or something, to work on that montage, because it shouldn't be inside, we're too close. And I think I said to Kathy, who's the guy who works on the Oscars? Get that guy to start working on the montage. I'm not sure when he came to us with a 9-minute video montage, but he came to us and it ended and there was a pause, and I think Rob said, well, this is terrible. So once Rob said it, we were all able to go, that's right, it's terrible. So I went to Dave and I said, you know, that montage, it's no good. And he said, well, what are you going to do now? And I said, I'd like to take a crack at it. So Randy, Mark, and I started to put something together. And we were working on it, I don't know, maybe 6 months, when Dave called one day into the edit room and said, how's it going? And I said, you know, I'm working on what you would expect, the Joaquin Phoenix moment and the, you know, whatever else. And he said, wait, video? And I said, yeah. And he goes, no, it should be stills. And I thought, oh yeah, sure, it should be stills. So we threw out everything we've been doing and started over again. I mean, I wasn't credited for doing it, and I didn't have to be credited. It was just a joy to work on with master editor Mark Spada and associate director Randy Grossack. It was trying to put a lifetime into 6 minutes. It was closure for me. It was kind of a healing thing for me to just put the whole show into a package. It was a beautiful experience. I don't know, wrapped everything up into a bow. If I could use one word to describe my 35 years at the show, what would it be? And I think it would be life-saving.
Robin Williams, Julie Chen, gee whiz. Excuse me, Barbara.
Yeah.
We have a show to do.
What do you want from me? I'm sweating my nuts off here.
Well, do it someplace else.
Yeah, fine.